At the outset, let me thank everyone at the offices of the Police Athletic League here in Harlem for hosting us today, and Alana Sweeney, the Executive Director of the Police Athletic League, and John Osborne, President of the Board of the PAL, are with us today. So thank you for both of you. Next year, the PAL will celebrate its 100th anniversary, a centennial of positive police involvement in the lives of kids in our city. And now I'm delighted to announce that in partnership with New York County District Attorney Cy Vance Jr. and the PAL, and with the start of a new school year just 6 days away, our administration is launching a new initiative that will help keep even more kids on the right path in life, and that is by helping them stay in school. Here at PAL, we're creating New York City's first engagement center, as we call it, for truancy reduction and public safety. And we're confident that the people and the range of programs headquartered at this center will do even more to give kids, at-risk kids, and their families the guidance and the services that they need. In a moment, I'll have a little more to say about what this new engagement center will do, but first let me stress why the mission is so important. And that's because each year, something like 1 out of every 5 students in our public schools misses a month or more of classes. That is 200,000 plus kids chronically absent, and that seriously hurts their ability to keep up in school. It also puts them at substantial risk for dropping out and for juvenile crime. Nearly 80% of the juveniles arrested in our city have records of chronic absenteeism prior to their arrests. And that's why 3 years ago, our interagency task force on truancy, chronic absenteeism, and school engagement launched a multi-pronged campaign to address this problem. It is the largest effort of its kind in the nation, and its comprehensive work on a variety of fronts provides a model other cities are now following. For example, under the banner of Every Student, Every Day, we've identified and worked in some 100 schools where chronic absenteeism has been high, and this year we're applying much of what they've learned to schools citywide. A key part of their work has been providing chronically absent students in these schools with what we call success mentors, whose mission is to keep students in class and help them achieve. The task force has also mounted the citywide public service ad campaign we've all seen that asks New Yorkers the question, "It's 9 a.m., do you know where your kids are?" And they provided parents with a variety of ways to find out about and help obtain information to keep their kids in school. The results of these efforts have been tremendously encouraging. For example, during the last school year, students who attended one of the programs taking part in the Every Student, Every Day program were on average 9% less likely to be chronically absent than students who attended a comparable school that was not part of the program. They earned significantly more credits than students in these comparable schools, and mentoring increased students' attendance rates by 5% on average, the equivalent of 2 weeks of school. That meant in participating schools during the last school year, 35% of elementary school students, 30% of middle school students, and 21% of high school students with success mentors stopped being chronically absent, and they gained more than 800,000 additional days in school. And high school students with prior histories of chronic absenteeism who had mentors were 52% more likely to remain in school than students in comparable schools who didn't have mentors. Now, we're confident that the engagement center that we're launching here will build on these achievements. At-risk kids will be referred here in a variety of ways by public school administrators here in Manhattan, by the NYPD or city probation officers, and by PAL's own Saturday Night Lights sports program. And I did want to point out that Vinnie Schiraldi, the Commissioner for Probations, is here, and Kathleen Grimm, Deputy Chancellor of the Department of Education, is here. Make sure they come to school, will you? She will do that. The engagement center will, youngsters who get the help they need here, will get the help they need here, including academic tutoring and mental health counseling. The engagement center will also be a bridge between students, their schools, and the larger community, and the staff will have access to student data that will help them keep students on track. There will be an advocate in the center for each student assigned here, advocates who will monitor their progress, prod them to stay on track, and congratulate them when they do. At the same time, students will be able to select success monitors from their school communities whose job it will be to support and encourage them, and parents and guardians will be engaged in these processes every step of the way. Now, 11 and a half years ago, we took over a school system that was shamefully failing far too many kids, and we have made enormous progress in turning that around. After a decade when city high school graduation rates had remained essentially flat, in 2002 we started steadily raising the percentage of students graduating from our schools. Since 2005, that was the first year that the state began measuring graduation rates in city schools. Our four-year high school graduation rate has improved by 39%, and we've cut the dropout rate nearly in half. And that means since 2005, nearly 60,000 students have graduated from our high schools who wouldn't have if the old status quo hadn't been changed. And I'm confident that this new engagement center is going to help even more kids in our city graduate and succeed in life. So on that note, let me turn things over to District Attorney Cy Vance Jr. Cy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The DA's first priority has got to be public safety. And I think working with the Commissioner, Commissioner Kelly, the Commissioner of the NYPD in our office has in the last several years taken down 13 gangs around Manhattan. But I also know, and I think everyone who is behind me understands, that safety in our streets isn't just achieved by what we take out of the community, like gang members, but what we put into the community. And I know, and I now understand better as district attorney, that in order to keep kids out of our courtroom, we need, as the mayor said, to keep them in our classrooms. And as the mayor also said, we know how important this is because the areas in the city that have the highest truancy rate also have the highest incidences of gun and gang violence. And that's where the mayor's program and the Advocate to Graduate program comes in. Conceived in partnership with the mayor, the Department of Education, the NYPD, and the PAL, we will be offering tutoring, help to kids when they need it most, early on, early intervention, before they get in trouble. And we know the Advocate to Graduate program works because we've been using it with our Saturday Night Lights program, which has been ongoing for the last 2 years with the police department. And we see that making individual counseling available to kids at the time they need it most is powerful in keeping them on a path where they can succeed. So I want to thank the mayor for his leadership in opening this first-of-a-kind program, the commissioner for his help in all our work in law enforcement, and for the PAL Center for their partnership with the DA's office. Like everyone here, I would much rather, as DA, be in a classroom watching kids graduate than in a courtroom sitting on the back bench having young kids come into our courtroom, as we see all too often. This is a step, a powerful step, to turn that dynamic around and to have kids achieve what they're capable of achieving. Thank you.
Cy, thanks. Our city's truancy prevention efforts have been overseen by the city's chief policy advisor in the mayor's office, John Feinblatt. John, you want to say a few more words about these efforts? But also, let me point out that Leslie Kornfeld, who is chairman of our truancy task force, is here. Where are you? There you are. And I just wanted to say thank you. You're the one that really does all the work, and we appreciate it. John?
Thank you. It is simple common sense that kids have to stay in school to succeed. When they're regularly absent, they fall behind, they struggle in class, and too often they drop out. The problem strikes early on. In fact, 3/4 of chronically absent sixth graders will drop out before their high school graduation day. And the costs of that are devastating. Many fall into crime, some wind up in jail, many struggle to find work. It's our responsibility to stop that from happening. We know, as the mayor has pointed out, that chronic absenteeism is disturbingly pervasive. However, it's not inevitable. Since the mayor launched our task force 3 years ago, we've learned ways to effectively combat it. First lesson for us is how much the data actually counts. It allows us to distinguish between an occasional cutter and somebody who's chronically absent. It allows school mentors and school personnel to detect the early warning signs of chronic absenteeism. It allows us to respond quickly and to measure which approaches are most effective. The second lesson we've learned is that encouragement from mentors matters. It matters when there's somebody who notices when you're not going to school, and it matters when somebody encourages you when you do come. Mentors can help us turn this situation around, and in fact, last year, high school students with mentors earned more credits and were 40% more likely to stop being chronically absent than their peers at comparison schools. The third lesson for us is that schools just can't do this alone. The reasons for chronic absenteeism are complex and they are varied. They range from health problems to housing problems. But if you put the right partnerships together, you can make a difference. And in fact, we've seen that happen with some of the most vulnerable families and some of the most vulnerable kids. In fact, when you compare students who are living in temporary housing in pilot schools to students who are living in temporary housing in our comparison schools, we found those in our pilot schools were 32% less likely to be chronically absent, perhaps one of the most difficult populations that educators have to deal with because of their housing situations, the frequent moves their families have to make, and the instability of their life circumstances. Today, what we're doing is trying to bring the 3 lessons that we've discovered over the past 3 years to this center, because absenteeism just doesn't affect classroom attendance. When kids miss school, they show up in police precincts, they show up on probation rolls, they show up in courthouses. And whether students come here from probation or because of a court order or because they've been engaged in one of PAL's effective programs, our responsibility is to identify chronic absenteeism and fight it wherever we do find it. Because when we do, what we've learned is that test scores and class credits improve, kids rejoin their peers on the path to graduation. That's our job, to help more students get back and stay on track. With the lessons from our task force and reinforcement from centers like this one, we're proving it's possible to get kids back in school, stay in the classroom, and learn. Thank you.
John, thank you. Also with us is the honorary president of the Police Athletic League, the guy that has, along with the best police department in the world, kept us so safe, Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, right?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to also commend the Task Force on Truancy for some excellent work. The highest responsibility that we have as a society is to provide a safe, quality education to our children. And as you can see by the gathering here, it takes a lot of players to do that. We all have a part to play. And there are very many important players involved, but I want to thank the Police Athletic League for once again helping the government in conducting its work and accomplishing its mission. For nearly a century, the police department and the PAL have collaborated to give young people alternatives as far as safe places to play, and we want them to stay in school with the support of a secure learning environment. With the help of the PAL and others, I'm pleased to report that we've made significant progress. In addition, we employ initiatives like the NYPD's Impact for Schools, which concentrates school safety agents and police officers in those schools with the highest number of reported incidents of disruption or crime. We do this certainly in cooperation with the Department of Education. Now, during the most recent school year, from 2012 to 2013, New York City's public schools saw the lowest number of reported crimes since before the Bloomberg administration took office. Everything from misdemeanors to violent crimes. There were fewer than 700 index crimes for the first time since at least 2002. And there were 14% fewer index crimes in schools citywide compared to the year before. That is the largest single-year drop in major crime between school years that we have ever experienced. In addition, arrests by school safety officers have decreased 34% this past year. Truancy enforcement is an important component of the department's overall efforts to reduce crime. Removing juveniles from the street during school hours and returning them to school decreases the likelihood that they will wind up as victims or perpetrators of crime. The department is granted this authority by the New York State education law. Now, juveniles from 6 to 18 years of age detained for truancy and delivered to the principal designated of the school that they attend is the normal procedure. But when that school is located within a reasonable distance, then that's what happens. However, in the event that the truant school cannot be determined, or if the truant school is unreasonably far from where he or she is encountered, the student will be delivered to one of the 6 Department of Education truancy intake sites citywide. The NYPD has also created an anti-truancy coordinator in our school safety division. And we've strengthened our focus on the places that truants frequent, like parks and certain commercial establishments. We also want to cite the dedicated work of the Department School Safety Division Community Outreach Unit. It consists of 24 uniform and civilian members of the department. Together, they conduct a range of presentations in classrooms designed to keep kids in school, from anti-bullying to internet safety to gang awareness, peer pressure, and teen violence. During the last school year, they gave more than 600 of these presentations to approximately 24,000 students, parents, and school staff throughout the 5 boroughs. I'm pleased to report that the police encountered and reported 22,000 fewer truants in 2012-2013 school year, a reduction of more than 15%. We're confident the opening of these engagement centers will only enhance the outstanding work of the members of the department and the members of the task force to provide the best possible learning environment for our children. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. I was just thinking, I don't think very many people remember what it was like a dozen years ago with crime in our schools, and now the kids who want to learn have an environment where they can learn a lot better than what was going on before. Next, our school's chancellor, Dennis Walcott. Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you for your leadership and also thank the task force for their leadership as well. Earlier today, I visited 2 schools. Today is the first day our teachers are back, and they're getting a lot of professional development in preparing for the opening of school on the 9th of September. And our goal is to make sure that we have all of our students in school. As you heard the mayor indicate, the police commissioner indicate that our schools are safer than ever before, not just for our students, but also for our staff as well. And so we're proud to be part of this partnership and working in conjunction with the Police Athletic League. We thank you for your leadership as well. This is truly beneficial to our students. And the bottom line is to make sure that our students are in school to receive a quality education. And Mr. Mayor, we thank you for everything that you do on behalf of our students to get a high college career readiness education. Thank you.
Dennis, thank you, and good luck next Monday when the kids come back. Our final speaker is someone who really needs no introduction. Now, when you say something like that about somebody, trust me, they'd like to have an introduction. So let me just tell you who this guy is. He is the chair of the board of the Police Athletic League. He is Cy Vance's distinguished predecessor as district attorney. He is somebody who has devoted his life to helping kids and helping the city, and his impact will be legion to when the historians write what went on in the last 50 years. Bob Morgenthau. Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm delighted that PL has been selected as the site for this important program and asked to participate in it. Too often in the past, truancy is treated just as a law enforcement problem, and when truants are picked up, they're warehoused. No real effort made to educate them or bring them back into the mainstream. To me, there are two important aspects to this program. I congratulate you, Mayor, on your foresight in proposing it. One is to find out why they're dropouts. Why did they drop out of school? And two, to help them get back into school and join the mainstream. We know that education is a key to a successful future in our society, to get jobs. And this, as I say, number one, investigates why they're dropouts, and number two, helps them to join the mainstream. And the future of our city is with our young people, and we don't want a whole cohort of people who have dropped out of the mainstream. So I think this is an extremely important program for New York, and I'm delighted to be able to, on behalf of PL, to participate in it. Thank you.
Before taking questions, let me just summarize for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers. En el día de hoy estamos inaugurando el primer centro participativo de nuestra ciudad para la seguridad pública y la reducción del ausentismo escolar. El centro ayudará a los jóvenes que faltan a clases de manera crónica a volver el buen camino. And with that, we'd be happy to take some questions, sir.